A lot went down in the second round of the Kingpyn tournament. We had upsets, some close fights, and some people are even saying the greatest performance in YouTube boxing history.
He's done it from time to time. Just a bit of... From the United Kingdom, the Nightmare.
Alright, so the Kingpyn semifinals. I'm gonna be honest and say that I wasn't really interested in the fights on this card that were not the semifinals themselves. I feel like the majority of people really just wanted to see who would advance to the finals, but there were definitely some interesting and viral moments from those other fights. But I'm going to focus on these semifinal fights, starting off with Elle Brooke versus Julie Polka. And man, this fight was pretty awesome. I'm not gonna lie, I enjoyed this fight a lot. We have been used to seeing Elle Brooke run through her opponents. Elle Brooke has a very aggressive fight style with a big weakness in her lack of defense. And that is exactly what Julie Polka exposed in this fight. Now, of the two fighters, the technique wasn't great, but Julie did definitely demonstrate the better technique overall and knew when to blitz and when to back off at different points in this fight. The back and forth in this fight was crazy, with Julie winning most of the exchanges. Elle definitely got her fair share of shots in there, but ultimately it was not enough to win the fight. But Elle Brooke, if anything, has proven how tough she is. This is not her natural weight class. She should not really even be fighting at this weight, but she took the challenge, went up in weight in this tournament, got to the second round, and it didn't go her way. But nobody can doubt her toughness from this fight. I'm excited to see what's next for her. And congrats to Julie Polka, because that was an insane performance. I'm really excited to see her move on to the final, and I'm sure the Brazilian crowd is excited for that as well. Great fight between these two. Up next was the Barbie versus Emily Brooke fight, and this fight pretty much went how I expected it to. Emily definitely struggled with the height and reach advantage of Barbie in this fight. It was just too much for her. She is a much bigger fighter, and this was a huge challenge for someone like Emily. But I'll give it to her. She also demonstrated some insane toughness throughout this whole fight. I didn't expect her to go the distance in this one. I thought Barbie was going to put her away in round 2 or 3, but she stayed in there the whole time and never stopped throwing shots. She wanted this win bad, but ultimately came short. That jab and reach advantage for Barbie is going to be a problem for anyone, and I'm excited to see how Julie's going to match up against it. If Barbie starts throwing some straight right hands, she will be even more dangerous. She throws a lot of looping punches, a lot of slapping hooks, but her jab is lethal. She can stay at a distance and just win off points against most fighters. And her size also gives her the advantage in power against most fighters in this scene. I'm excited to see this final matchup between Julie Polka and Barbie. That's going to be a good one. Now for the men's tournament, up first was Jarvis versus Gib, and this was a very good fight. I was impressed with both guys. Gib had a little bit of a slow start. He usually starts his fights that way. I thought Jarvis looked very sharp in the beginning, was taking advantage of that slow start, but as the fight went on, it was leaning more and more in Gib's favor. This man's gas tank is undefeated, and he gets better as the fight goes on. I think Gib's cardio and his experience are what really took over this fight. He is the much more experienced fighter over Jarvis, but I am very impressed with how far Jarvis has come in such a little amount of time in the game. I thought Gib did a really great job of his shot selection. I really liked how he was working the body. A lot of YouTubers in this space do not really use that to their advantage. And this was one of the more technical fights in the YouTube boxing space, and that's always good to see. Gib wins the fight by a decision. Totally deserved. He earned it. He deserves to go to these Kingpyn finals against King Kenny. Which leads us to our main event of the night, Whindersson Nunes versus King Kenny. And man, this thing was one-sided. I've never seen King Kenny fight like that, and I was not expecting it. One thing that I really liked about Kenny in this fight was his confidence. This man knew he was the better fighter, he knew he was winning the fight, and he made sure that Whindersson knew that at the end of the first round. He was dictating the pace of the fight, using his jab to keep Whindersson away from him, and when the distance did get closed, he was winning those exchanges as well. This is the exact performance King Kenny needed. A lot more people in this scene are on his side now for this final, and a lot of people are saying this was the greatest performance in influencer boxing history, which you definitely can make a case for, but you have to consider the opponent. I think Whindersson Nunes is not the greatest opponent. I don't really think he is one of the better fighters in the space. I think a lot of the top guys end up beating Whindersson Nunes. If they end up fighting, I also think Jarvis is going to beat Whindersson, but regardless, it was still very impressive from King Kenny, and he deserves to go to the final. I don't think he's going to be able to fight Gib like he fought Whindersson. He's going to have to be a lot more locked in. A lot of the antics are going to have to go away for Gib, because if he catches you lacking for a second, he will expose you. You know he's going to push the pace that entire fight, and I can't wait to see it. So those are my quick thoughts on the Kingpyn tournament. Who do you think wins the final? Do you have Barbie or Julie Polka? And do you have King Kenny or Aneson Gib? Let me know. Subscribe for more boxing updates and content. The support is much appreciated. Thank you for watching. Peace.